Alright, what up Blockchain Nation? What up YouTube? Let me say hi.
Hi, hello, my
Whatever I said. Alright, so thank you for taking the time to subscribe to this channel. If you watch these videos consistently, I want to say a big thank you, thank you. You're far too kind. Yes, so today I'm going to... I know. Alright, again. So today I'm going to talk about how to be productive when you have to work at home from home and you have one of these aliens. Yes, with you when you have to work from home with kids, it can be very, very challenging. So today I'm just going to give you a few tips on how to still remain productive even though you have kids at home. So, you ready? Say let's dance. Alright, so let me start by saying I actually work from home, work remote, same thing, for about 6 years. I worked for a bank where I was doing application support, and it was interesting. So I know what it's like to work remote for a very long time, and especially when you have kids and stuff. If you don't have kids, or if you're not married, even this will still apply to you. There's some tips that I'm hoping that you can also take from this. So yeah, so here it is. This is my tips for working remote and still being productive, whether or not you have kids or a significant other or other distractions. Anyway, so first thing I would say is you have to get up early. That's number one. Personally, I try to get up like 5 o'clock, 4:30, between 4:30 and 5. I had to have a video that I did on that, why I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, my miracle morning routine. Yeah, it's I think something that you should watch. Maybe that's not your thing, waking up early, but nevertheless, if you want to be productive, in my personal opinion, and you have a lot going on, the first thing you have to do is wake up early, because when you're up early, nobody else is up, and you can find time to focus and do what it is that you need to do. So my first tip would definitely be get up earlier than you normally do. Remember, you're not commuting to work, you don't have to drive. So yeah, so maybe you can find time, or you can log off at the end of the day and take an early nap. Well, that'll be my last point. But the first point is get up early. That's the first thing you need to do. Second thing is, as interesting as it may sound, you have to put your cell phone away. Now hear this. Now if you have, personally, I have a phone that I use for work, and I have my personal cell phone. Well, I had a phone that I used to use for work. But if you don't, you can have, I think it would be great to have a landline. I don't know if people still use landlines nowadays, because here's the challenge with cell phones, in my personal opinion. I don't have my cell phone here, is that we get distracted with social media. You pick up your cell phone, you're looking at checking out stuff, looking at Twitter, you're looking at stuff, and that's very, 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 very distracting. So even when I go to bed, my cell phone is far away from me. When I'm working, my personal cell phone, I keep that away from as well. If my well, I was going to say if my wife needs to reach me, but everyone's at home, so I guess she just has to come downstairs. But if somebody needs to reach you, they can reach you on your work phone, or they can reach out to you on WhatsApp. Actually, you can install the WhatsApp Messenger or the WhatsApp app on your laptop. Even that too might be a distraction if it's absolutely necessary that somebody has to reach out to you. So if you can't afford to, or you're not in a situation where you have a work phone, then as much as possible, turn off all the notifications on your phone and put it away unless it's absolutely necessary. You don't have to answer every single call unless it's work related. And if it's work related, I'm sure you have stuff like Zoom calls, you have Microsoft Teams, so that's the best way to communicate with work. And as much as possible, keep the cell phone away. That's just my thing. Yeah, third thing I would say is highlight your top 3 priorities. I know, like when I was in application support, there was always a lot going on. But as much as possible, ask yourself, what are the 3 things that if I complete today will make today a win? So highlight what those 3 things are. Because sometimes when you highlight so many things, I got to do this, I got to do that, you end up doing nothing. But that's my experience. So I'll definitely say highlight what your top 3 priorities are. And that takes me to point number 4. As interestingly simple as it may sound, work on the most important thing first. Now, when I get up as early as this, like early in the morning, always take that task that's like eat your frog, the most difficult, painful thing to do, the high priority project or the high priority task on that project that you have to deliver. Focus on that first. Focus on that first before you do anything else. Let that be the first thing, because you have control over the beginning of the day, maybe the end of the day, but anything in between, especially if you have kids at home, it's not the easiest thing to do. So, well, that's been my experience. So, work on the first thing first. Work on the number 1 thing first. That's point number 4. Now, point number 5 is a bit interesting. Is what I like to do is I have what I call my 2-hour blocks or 3-hour blocks. So I schedule 3 3-hour blocks. I know, yeah, that's 9 hours. But if you can't do 3 hours, maybe 2 3-hour blocks. What that means is the first 2 hours of a day, focus, like early in the morning, what I do is I focus on my most pressing task is what I do first thing, the first 2 hours. So I get up like 4:35, so I do that till about 7, and I focus on what's really, really, really important. That's the first thing I do. Then that's my first 2-hour block. Then I take an hour, kind of not a break, but an hour where I can do other things like make sure the kids are okay, make sure they're eating, do everything else I need to do. Then I have another 2-hour block where I take the second thing I need to work on and I just binge it for 2 hours, and I just turn off all distractions and focus on doing that thing for the next 2 hours. And then what happens in between, maybe you have meetings, you have other stuff that you need to do, then I handle stuff like that. Then the last 3-hour block or last 2-hour block, I just take the time to do the last high priority thing. It's different for everyone, because if you have meetings, there's some things that you cannot control, but at least as much as possible, make sure you have the first 2-hour block is very, very key, which is where you're focusing your most difficult task first. Everything else that comes up during the day might be beyond your control, but as much as possible, if you can have those 2-hour blocks, or even if it's an hour block where you just focus on that one thing. Find out what that one thing is and focus on that one thing for that 1 hour. Then after that block is over, the third thing you need to focus on it for that block as well. So have your 2 3-hour blocks or 1 hour block, whatever works for you. And lastly, this is very, very important. When I did application support, it was like I used to work 12 14 hours a day sometimes, because when you work remote, yeah, you don't have to commute. Yeah, you're always at your desk, or you have access. You're just like right next to your laptop. Sometimes people take that for granted, or take advantage of that, and you're always getting stuff to do. So disconnect when you need to disconnect. If it's whatever time it is that you disconnect, if you start at 7 or whatever time you start, or you start at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, when work is done, work has to be done. Just totally disconnect. I'm no longer available at this time. Then you can pick up your cell phone and do whatever it is, whatever it is that you need to do. But yeah, make sure you disconnect when you're done. So those are my 6 tips. Get up early is the first one. Second one, put your cell phone away. Third is highlight your top 3 priorities. 4 is work on number 1 thing first. 5, have 2 3-hour blocks. In your case, if you can only spare a 1-hour block, depending on what your schedule is like and how many meetings you have. And then lastly, you have to disconnect when you are done. This might work for you. This might not work for you. Or you want to just let us know what works for you. Put some comments below how you work remote, what your schedule looks like, tips that you can give to everybody else. So that's all I have. So yeah. Till next time, my wish for you is that you learn how to code, because coding is changing and will change the world, especially this blockchain, distributed ledger technology space. And it is my personal opinion that those that get involved early will greatly impact the future. And if that is you, then let's go change the world.